out. And anyway, after talking to him, I walked away from the Lord and just had a weariness in my heart. For not just that man, but for all of mankind who's suffering. Suffering financially, suffering from life, where their life is not lived to its highest potential. I asked the Lord, I said, what separates a man from another man? What separates a common life from a great life? And the Lord said this. It's a dedication to the potential that's within that man. But once that man or that woman dedicates himself to the calling, to the potential that's within them, it releases greatness. And this church is the same way. This is in seed form. We've yet to see the harvest. We're just a seed right now. Later, years from now, decades from now, we'll see the true harvest. We're probably a good 20 years away from our prime, where we'll be operating at full force. And so if you like us now, you'll really like us later. But I'm dedicating my life to getting all the potential that's in this church out of it. Like I said, I'm not after Joel Sims Ministries. I'm not after trying to build my name. I'm trying to build this church. Because it's this church this is going to touch the world. They asked Brother Hagin, what's God doing in these last days? Right before he died, he said what God is going to do in the last days is God is going to build strong local churches. Seems to me over the last 20 years, we have bigger names of men and women than we do names of churches as far as in ministry. That's going to change. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in the most positive way it possibly could mean. That men can fail, but visions of organizations, visions of ministry, like Jesus built his ministry on. It wasn't just about Jesus. When he left, the ministry got bigger. Because he built a ministry, something that could impact the world. And that's the goal of this place, is to build a modern-day Book of Acts church. If I was to phrase it in one sentence as far as the purpose of what we're called to, it's that. It's God is calling us to build a modern-day Book of Acts church. Now, what does that mean? Well, the modern-day part means our methodologies will change. Lights and sound and screens and all the things that they didn't have back then, we can use the modern day as tools for our advantage. Tools to reach people. There was a lady who came down to me last Sunday, and she said, or 2 Sundays ago, and said, my husband just got deployed over to Iraq to go serve over there in the military. But he's able to download your podcast after every Sunday, and he has church along with us. Well, see, that's a modern-day church. A church that's using the tools of technology to reach the world so that even if people are deployed overseas, they can still have church with us. A modern-day church. But at the same time, we're not just a modern-day church. We're called to be a modern-day Book of Acts church. So everything you see in the Book of Acts, we're going to see in this place. From the power of God, the signs, wonders, and miracles, we're going to see it all. And when I say this place, I don't mean a building. I mean as a body, the body that is Word of Light Church. We're going to see it take place among us. See it with our own eyes, signs, wonders, and miracles. We're going to see the power of God in demonstration. Everything you see in the Book of Acts, it's our goal to see it here with our own eyes. Well, part of this move, my father felt it back in, I guess around 1997. He first got a stirring in his heart that the Lord was calling this place, this natural place, to move. He went out and looked for property and found property on Lakeland Drive. In 1999, we bought 45 acres on Lakeland Drive for around $1 million. At that time, there wasn't anything out there past the little movie theater there. It was several miles up the road from that. And naturally, everyone's concerns, including my father's, was that it was too far out there. In many ways, people have those concerns, and it's natural to have those concerns, especially at that time. But he knew God had called him there. And friends, this makes all the difference in the world. When you know God's called you someplace, there's always going to be provision for wherever the Lord has called you. And sure enough, he bought that property, 45 acres, for $1 million. And right after that, Walmart signed a contract to move there. Dogwood Shopping Center filed a contract to move in there. Best Buy, Target, all of the restaurants, and it's growing to this day. Now that same land that he bought for $1 million 10 years ago now appraises for $5 million. Not a bad deal. God is smarter than we are. So he was led to do that, and for that reason you can see why. But it's more than that. It's more than that. It's more than just it's a good location. You know, when we first started doing that, that's the way I marketed it. It's a good location. Guys, don't get me wrong. I know it's a drive from here to there. I know it is. I drive from here to there every day. I know it's a drive, but I marketed it as it's got a lot of pros to it. In the sense of, you know, you can do your shopping and your eating all right after church, right there. You can go see a movie all after, right there. A good movie. So, and while it may be a little inconvenient for people to drive over, the convenience will be more than made up in the sense of you can get other things done while you're out there. But it's more than that. This is what I want to emphasize. It's more than that. It's more than convenience. It's more than being able to be in a growing community. It's more than that. We can market it as that, but it's more than that. When I get out on that property, I sense the calling of God. I don't know why, but there's locations on this earth that God has set up and prearranged before the earth was ever formed to have something there. And when I get on that property, I sense that this is more than just going to be a church. This is something that God has called from the foundations of the earth, never letting another man touch it before we got there. That He arranged and set apart this place to touch the world. And friends, it is. I can't tell you all the ins and outs, but it is. It's going to touch the world. We won't be able to build big enough. I'm serious. We won't be able to build big enough. We'll build and have to build again, and after that have to build again. We won't be able to build it big enough from the people that are going to come. They're going to come from the north, south, east, and west. Why? God's called us to that place. So I know it may be a little